Again, Hex Texas, Hexy. All right, let's wrap up the first scenario in first victories. This would be the Battle of Rolica with Delaborte's first position. Okay, so victory conditions. French run away, exit everybody off the map down here. Okay? Probably could have done that on the first turn and second turn, got most of the people off there because I did get the random event where Delaborte steals a march. But I wanted to see combat in a bigger scale than what I was doing with the play example. So, in other words, Napoleon would have probably left wherever he was, come over here, and had me beheaded in front of my entire army for my decision. All right, so of course the game started up here with the French up here, waiting for the Allies to come on, to arrive, force them into line, into a battle formation, and then run back to their position in the hills back here. I decided I didn't want to necessarily do that, so I thought I would just start a gradual fallback, thinking, the French forces are superior, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Maybe to the Portuguese units that were here. So the thing is only 1, 2, 3, 4, it's only 5 turns long. And needless to say, the victory conditions were for the French were to get off the map. Basically. Okay, well that didn't happen. And I realized with only 1 turn left, I was like, uh-oh. That victory condition's out of the question. Well, there were really no other ones for the French. So the Allies, their levels of victory, the lowest level of victory was to just cause 1 step loss to the French. Okay? And they did that. 1 unit right here. He took 1 step loss. And he took it from a fire combat, a defensive fire, where he took a 1 step loss and morale check of minus 15. So that gave them a minor victory. Didn't matter because the decisive victory was to prevent any French units from exiting the play area south of Hexor 19 or to inflict at least 5 steps of losses on French units. All right, so they didn't evacuate. They didn't get off the map, so it's a major victory for Wellington. 2 of the brigades really never got into combat because they were in reserve status. And the card system for this thing, for the solitaire play, is pretty cool. All right, it works actually very well. I do need to do some more in-depth reading about how to apply the orders and stuff like that, because usually you have an orders chart that you roll on to see how many orders you're going to get for that turn, and but then on the cards you have an orders roll. So I have to learn how that functions, because what I was doing was rolling on the orders card to see what they got into. And of course, the higher numbers, you're only rolling a 10-sided dice. So, like most of them, 6 to 9, 5 to 9, they weren't going to get any orders at all. So they just be able to move around and maybe fire if they were near somebody to fire. All right, but we were able to get the British online and get in the face of Delaborte's troops. And then on the last turn, once I realized, well, hell, I can't retreat off the map. Let's attack and see if we can't do some damage to the Brits. And you got to understand this game. First off, I like this. This is awesome. I'm loving the system so far, and I'm going to move on to the next battle here shortly. This game, and I said it last time, this is not based on strength losses. It's a step loss system, but it's not based off step loss. It's your morale levels. You have 5 morale levels. You have a normal state. You have a disrupted or disordered state, you have a shaken state, you have a broken state, and you have a routed state. And you can receive step losses from fire combat, which when you're doing assaults with infantry, it's fire combat pretty much. It's defensive fire and offensive fire. And then if you're inside a built-up area or a post, then you're going to go to hand-to-hand combat. Cavalry, they charge. That's a steel. It's a cold steel combat, all right? And you'll get defensive fire. You may have infantry units that might change into square before the cavalry hits them, but I did a cavalry on cavalry charge over here. Here's the cavalry that charged, and it was into this hex here. All right, there's the cavalry you can't even see him with my finger. He's way back. That's the Portuguese cavalry, light cavalry. Just chased them away. Okay, and then they turned around. After they were done, you have regroup. they regrouped, and you're able to move 3 hexes and regroup. So, and plus they get the spent markers on them, so you don't want them out there and where they can be fired on by Allied infantry. So as you can see, the way the line looks right here, broken, 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 disrupted, shaken, broken, shaken, disrupted, disrupted, and routed. I gotta take that off there. That never happened. Should have, never did. Didn't matter. The French line's just destroyed. Okay, the Brits, and they've got 1, 2. They've got 2 fresh brigades that haven't even seen combat yet. And the trains aren't even close to being touched by any French troops. So, okay, so now I understand the premise of the victory conditions. De la Borde, I should have had, and I was playing the French. I wasn't using any of the bot for French. I should have ran back and got them off, because I could have done it with no problems, because the Allies, the Brits, were having a hard time getting themselves onto the map and into a position to attack. All right, because you do have specific things or specific ways that you get into the combat, you get into the fight. But like I say, I elected to choose to gradually fall back, and I wanted to fight to see what it was like. And well, got my butt handed to me, at least as the French. They got torched, and Wellington will claim his first victory in Portugal against Napoleon's troops. Okay, the system. Orders. If you're not using the AI, you're going to roll on a chart to see how many orders you get. And the Allies might get 1 order a turn, and the French, they might get 1 or 2. The Allies, if they rolled an 11 or better, because you get modifiers for leaders, and since Wellington's on the map now, they would have got a +3 on the die roll. And you will place those orders. The orders are attack and reserve. Attack, and I didn't realize this until I started playing this game here. Okay, so, I knew what attack was. Attack, formations that are in attack, they can assault and they can charge. Okay, if you place a higher leader, like if I place De la Borde, if I only get 1 order for the French and I place him into attack, he has 2 brigades on the map. Those 2 brigades now are automatically in attack without having to place orders. You take what the parent commander gets. Or if I get 1 order, I could have just placed it on one of the brigades, and then De la Borde and his other brigade, they would have had no orders. What I needed to clarify, and I did by reading, I asked Terry a question, but I caught it in the rules before he responded to me, is just because the units don't have an order don't mean they can't do anything. So yes, you can possibly be moving everybody you have on the board in 1 turn. Now, units that are in reserve, they cannot assault or charge, and take it back, cavalry can reaction charge. And because I didn't see any rule that said anything different. But reserve, you can't assault. And you don't move during your movement phase. You move during the reserve movement segment in the opposing player's phase. So the French, it's their phase and they move, and then there's a phase where the Allies, any formations that are in reserve, they can move. Okay, still can't assault or anything, but that's interesting. I'm used to reaction movement and stuff like that in some of the World War II games and played, or facing changes or reaction firing and stuff in like GBACW, but this one here allows you to. So, in a phasing player's turn, they're going to fire first. You might get some units that get chased out of line. Well, that reserve movement might allow you to move another regiment into that hole. All right? Or get units that are farther back, maybe start helping them get to the front before the next turn comes up, where you might end up getting an attack order on them. So the order system it's not hard. The hardest part is if you're playing, without any bot, is trying, like if you only get 1 order, it's trying to figure out, man, where am I going to place? I need to attack somewhere, but where am I going to place this attack order? The left flank, the right flank, these units here, those units there. Or am I going to put somebody in reserve so they can react to the opposing player aggressively attacking? Excellent system. All right. I never would have thought that playing a game that was where all of your, so to speak, your losses and casualties are actually based on morale. I never thought that I'd see an excellent game with using that system. Well, I got news for you. This one does it, and it does it very well. So because I mean, you can see all these white box minus numbers. Those are, you're going to minus that off your dice roll. The lower your morale is, the better you are, because you don't get a bad effect unless you load below the morale rating on the unit. Well, I got news for you. I got some of these units that have like 44, like here's a 45 morale. That's terrible. Well, my God, if he did a charge from being adjacent to a unit, he's going to get a minus 20 on any morale roll, and then he might be shaken, and he might have minus 10, so now he's getting minus 30, okay? So lesson learned here in this game, probably not a good idea to charge from an adjacent location if you're infantry, because you get one of these wonderful markers right here placed on you, and it automatically says your morale is minus 20. So any morale check you're going to take, you're going to lose 20, all right, off the dice roll. And that, you don't want that. And like I say, you can see all the markers on it, and I could only check for 3 units on the allied phase, the last phase here of the game, because you can't rally check when you're adjacent to an enemy. So you can see, look at all the morale type hit markers. Think of those as like your casualty markers in a way, all right? And all the information you need is right on them. Like -1 in red means they're going to lose 1 table or 1 column shift to the left when they're doing fire combat. -1 in a white box with red text means if somebody shoots at them, the player shooting is going to lose a column shift to the left, okay? And then you've got your CVM ratings, which come into your assaults or your close combat stuff. So close combat, they assault and cavalry charges are part of that. Cavalry charges, they get countered. They can be countercharged if they're charging another cavalry unit. Okay, if you're going to close on somebody and you don't put yourself into an assault and you want to move adjacent, you've got to roll for morale check before you can move in there adjacent to the enemy unit. So it's, and like I say, you can't go into an assault mode unless you're in attack formation. So great system, guys. And this was new to me, and the rules they're not bad. They're very good, but trying to grasp the Napoleonic warfare, the complexities or the subtleties of it, getting into the rules, it took me a little bit to learn them, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't not like it was painful. And, of course, Terry's provided me some good help, too, with a couple of messages. All right, so this is First Victories, Lock and Load Publishing. We just wrapped up Rolica, the Delaborte's first position, out by the town. And the Allies have a major victory. Now we're going to move on to the scenario where, I think Big Board played this one, Kev, where Delaborte has fallen back to his main position in these hills back here. And the Brits, I guess the Allies are going to attack. We're going to give that thing a shot. Probably majority of the same units you see here will be on it for this one. But now this one's going to be a straight fight, I believe. But it's going to be in terrain. All right, Hexy, Lock and Load Publishing. The designer for this one's Terry Doherty. This is First Victories, Wellington versus Napoleon. Not released yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, you see a pre-order, Kickstarter, whatever it is, get on it, because this is going to be a good one. And somebody sort of, little bird popped me a message that he's got a few more in this series that I think he's working on. Didn't hear it from him, but I heard it from somebody else. All right, let's get this up so y'all can see how this ended up. Talk to you soon.